Amen.
Yes, I'm going to do this a little different this morning, okay? If you have gotten one of these new and improved little handouts that I have, I'm going to ask that you put it away. If you haven't gotten one, see me after. I'll make sure that you do have one. You know I've come before you to speak a number of different times. So who has heard me before? Raise your hand.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Now, we're going to see if you were listening. Because you know what, one of the good things here is if you were listening, that means that when you talk to other people, you'll also be able to get that message across for me. So, I'm not going to say where I was born or raised because that's kind of irrelevant here, but you know I have 16 years of previous elected experience. On what capacities did I serve? Okay, start with one. I want one question first. Let's go to Kathleen in the back.
School board.
How many years?
16.
It's okay, you got that part right. It was 4 years. Okay, Jim, you're up.
I have not a clue. She got my vote money.
I love you dearly for it. Kathleen,
County commission.
correct. How many years?
I'm gonna say 12.
No. Six. Good deal. Okay, and there was one other thing. So I'll give you a hint here. It was a total of 16 years. So what was the other position that I held? Michelle?
Weren't you also the caucus chair?
Michelle, I am so, you know what? I am so impressed that you picked that up. That is correct. When I sat on Will County Board, I was also the Democratic Caucus Chairman. Now, if you remember, I told you here we have 5 commissioners, there we had 26, so we did have a majority-minority party. And at the time when the Democrats actually had the floor, it took 20 years to get there, but we actually held the floor for a few years here. And I held the second highest ranking position for the Democrats on the floor, which was the Democratic Caucus Chairman. So thank you, Michelle, for bringing that up. Now, what was the last
That's impressive.
piece that I'm asking for? Where else did I serve? Jim, go ahead, give it a shot.
Administrator?
No, but thank you. There you go. Okay, so we have it. So I served as an alderman for the city of Lockport. So my total previous elected experience, ingrained it in your heads here, so you can use that, was school board 4 years, alderman for the city of Lockport, and Will County Board. And that also, we served simultaneously as Forest Preserve Commissioners. So it was a dual role there. So that's good. Okay, now, what are my top 3 issues that I have identified? Can't peek either.
I'm not peeking. I know.
No,
I know
I
it.
said you have to turn the card over, so that's cheating.
I already know it.
Mm. Lydia, you didn't have your hand raised. Sit down. Go ahead, sir.
Water quality.
Yes,
Transportation.
yes.
And economic development.
Perfect. You deserve a star. You deserve a star. That is absolutely correct. So water quality, which we know, work with our different municipalities. So we're giving that message to not only the state, but our federal legislators with one voice. That is something that we certainly can't compromise on. Economic development, from the standpoint of making sure that we are seeking those types of businesses to Lee County that will provide sustainable jobs with a living wage. Living wage, very important. If we go back to things that affect our environment, so it kind of ties in a little bit with water quality, also with economic development. I do fully support green construction initiatives. So with the hope that as different developers come in, there are ordinances that are out there that we at Lee County could easily adopt into that to leave our environment better, or at least as good as it is when we leave this earth. Okay, so then the last piece, transportation. Now, Sean, I know we've had much discussion over this. We've got 2 different phases when it comes to infrastructure and our transportation needs. So infrastructure from the standpoint of making sure we have a prioritized approach for our roads that are going in, making sure that our unincorporated areas are given fair representation, which we know they are not. And then secondary to that is physical modalities. And this is something that I've always been a champion of, and this specifically has to do with our seniors and our disabled population. This ties back to the expansion of Lee-Tran. They will be coming up actually for a vote on the 10-year plan this coming Tuesday, although Sean mentioned the other day that he heard from someone it may be postponed. One of the things though is funding. From what I understand now, Lee-Tran is not planning to increase funding, which is truly unfair for all of our residents. And when it comes to ADA transportation, I think we all know they will only supply ADA transportation for our seniors and disabled population if you are within 3/4 of a mile of any fixed route. So we are severely underserved. Now, when I asked that question when I attended a meeting this past week, the answer that I received, I was not very happy with. They said, oh, well, it's okay. We're meeting the minimum standards under the ADA. Okay, minimum is not good enough. So again, we need to go out and we need to fight for those things. Sean.
I just want to say on the Lee-Tran, any of you all that are free on Tuesday, we could really use you to come speak out to the commission, especially those of you that live in Lehigh. I read the transit report yesterday, and in our 10-year plan, there is almost no mention of Lehigh. There's a profile of every other community in Lee County: Sanibel, Cape Coral, Estero, Bonita, Fort Myers Beach. No mention of Lehigh. They talk about land use patterns, but Lehigh can't build these mixed-use developments the rest of the county is building, and they don't address that issue. We have the third busiest route going in and out of Lehigh. The frequency gap is over an hour to get in or out of Lehigh. They're not planning to improve that frequency in the next decade. That route that serves over 200,000 people a year does not have Sunday service. They're not planning on adding it in the next 10 years. We have to go and demand that the county commission reject this 10-year plan. It is a 10-year plan. It locks us in for the next decade. We have to demand that they reject this and that they tell Lee-Tran they have to go back to work and put forward a legitimate 10-year plan. We have 600,000 residents. By the end of this 10-year plan, we might have 800,000 residents. We don't provide for the transit of the people that we do have, especially the thousands of people in this county like myself and my coworkers that are in crisis right now, that work barely above minimum wage. They lost their house, now they're living in Lehigh, then their car broke down, we work in Bonita. It's a 4-hour bus ride, one way. They cannot get to Bonita before 11 a.m. They have to leave Bonita by 6 o'clock to get back to Lehigh before the bus stops running. And we're a 24-hour operation with only 7 employees, and we have 2 employees stuck in this position. So public transit is a very, very important issue. The meeting is 9:30 Tuesday morning in the courthouse. I will be there. I will be speaking out, and I could use all of your help.
Can I say something? That's an awesome point about showing up to the Board of County Commissioners meetings. But if you just mentioned that as Democrats, we're underserved here, right?
Correct.
We are in this county. We're underserved. So imagine being a minority in this county. You don't exist. And you know, there's a lot of talk, but there's no action. And when I say that, I mean in the sense that when they have meetings at the Board of County Commissioners, we're not represented there either. So, and I'm not talking about just black people. I think anyone that feels that there are injustices happening in Lee County, and there are many, we need to be represented there. And I can tell you that the last time that I was there and I spoke out, the kind of reaction that I've gotten from the Board of County Commissioners, you have to go back to the 50s to really identify with what's happening here. You don't have to worry about me. I'm not running under anybody's table or anybody's bed or anything. I will be there the next time, but we need to show up in numbers. These guys are feeling a lot of heat. I'm telling you, whatever we're doing is getting under their skin. And transportation is a huge issue. They don't have any money set aside for transportation because the people that they feel need it are the ones that are underrepresented.
Correct.
You know, so,
And what was interesting too, Larry, when I went to this last Lee-Tran meeting, you know, talking about that, when I brought up the issue as far as our ADA transportation piece, it was interesting that they actually brought up that they didn't have a whole lot of respondents. And not a lot of people actually came to some of the meetings. Well, you know what? The reason being, they can't get there.
that's right.
I mean,
That's why they have
let's
the
get
meetings
real
at
here.
9:30.
So again, you know, you have a very, very valid point. I will be there Tuesday, making a habit of going to those meetings. Larry, you represented, your opinion as far as, you know, things that we can do for our human services budget and where dollars need to be, you know, attributed to. You did wonderful. I hope you are there speaking again. It's interesting too, because if you look at some of the budget projections that they're gonna be looking for next year, they want to increase the sheriff's budget. They want to increase your judicial budget, and yet they want to decrease human services. There's a direct inverse relationship between those two things. It needs to be taken care of first, help fix the problem, so it doesn't those people don't wind up in our court systems. It's like, you know, use your heads here, guys. Lewis.
On human services, there was a flat denial without any promise of investment.
Correct.
But you know, once again, it bothers me that people who wanna play politics when it comes to human services really do not know the history of human services in not only these United States, but in England, Europe, whatever. People who are in need of human services have always been discounted. You can go back to the Middle Ages.
Sure.
They have never been discounted, and I think some of it has to do with the way they are projected as not as an asset, but as a liability to the community. And so if you really want the county commissioners to listen to you, you're gonna have to do something besides saying that we need to help these people, it's the right thing to do, otherwise, you know, things are gonna get worse, so on and so forth. People need another method of trying to explain to these folks why it is an asset, the same way water quality is an asset to the community. That people who are working, ABA people who are working, seniors who are volunteering and helping other seniors, that these people are assets to the community, instead of always projecting people who need social services as liabilities.
I agree completely. Now, one of the things going back, and I really never brought this up before, but there is one distinct difference, I think, between me and actually all of your county board members, as well as those that are currently running, besides the fact that, yes, I can don heels and wear a dress and I can't. I had the opportunity when I was on Will County Board to have a seat at the table on NACO. Now, I don't know if anyone knows what that is. It's the National Association of County Officials, and I was on the Human Services and Education Steering Committee for 4 years. So those are, that's one of the things that helps bring legislation back, giving power to the different communities, the different counties, to say what is important to us. So again, this is certainly something that the other people that are there, they've never done. In fact, I was told before that, yes, Lee County is actually a member of NACO, which is a little costly to be a member. However, they don't participate, which is very sad. I'm going to leave it there unless someone else has any questions. I'm here. No questions.
Thank you.
Perfect. And thank you. Sandra, I think is going to talk further.